Modal verbs are a special type of German verb. Unlike other German verbs, modal verbs can be used along with other infinitive verbs. Besides that, they share some common features that means it makes sense to learn how they work all at once. The term modal verb refers to 6 German verbs: wollen, to want; müssen, to have to or must; können, to be able to or can; sollen, to be supposed to, or we could say should in English; dürfen, which means to be allowed to, or we would say may a lot of the time in English; and mögen, which means to like. One of the things these 6 verbs have in common is that they do not follow the normal rules of German verb conjugation. It's not as simple as chopping off the en ending and then adding the usual verb conjugation endings. So the bad news is that they're pretty weird compared with normal German verbs. The good news is that they're all weird in the exact same way. A good way to think about these verbs is like the character Two-Face from the Batman movies. One side is completely normal, and if you only saw that side, you would assume that the verb was a completely normal verb. One side is completely strange, and if you only saw that side of the verb, you'd think the verb was really messed up. What makes modal verbs special is that, like Two-Face, they have one weird side and one normal side. Specifically, the singular side of modal verbs, the forms that go with ich, du, and er, sie, es, are strange. The vowel in the stem changes for all of them except for sollen, and the conjugation pattern is different from other verbs you've seen. The plural side, on the other hand, is completely normal, no vowel change, and the same old endings as usual. So let's take a look at how this works with the example of the verb wollen, which means to want. On the singular side, you have ich will, du willst, er, sie, es will. And on the plural side, things are normal. Wir wollen, ihr wollt, sie and sie wollen. Notice on the singular side that the vowel has changed from an O in the infinitive form wollen to an I in the conjugated forms. Furthermore, the conjugation pattern isn't the usual E-S-T-T that you're used to from other regular verbs. Instead, it's nothing, st, nothing. This means that the ich form and the er, sie, es form will always be the same with modal verbs. The other modal verbs have the same odd characteristics. There will be a vowel change in the singular forms, and they will follow a nothing, st, nothing conjugation pattern in the singular forms. So you end up with müssen becoming ich muss, du musst, er muss. There's no umlaut, so notice the pronunciation change. Können becomes ich kann, du kannst, er kann. Sollen actually doesn't have a vowel change, but still follows the same conjugation pattern to become ich soll, du sollst, er soll. Dürfen becomes ich darf, du darfst, er darf. And mögen becomes ich mag, du magst, er mag. Now let's discuss how to use these verbs in a sentence. Besides sharing some conjugation patterns, these verbs will all act the same once they are put into a sentence. They will be conjugated and go into the normal position for a conjugated verb. This is the second position for a normal statement or an informational question, and the first position for a yes or no question. What's interesting is that you can use these verbs along with other verbs. And in German, that other verb will become an infinitive and go to the end of the sentence or clause. This usually causes problems for English speakers. We would say something like, I want to go to the movies. We may have the modal verb want and the infinitive to go, and we put them right next to each other. The Germans, on the other hand, put the infinitive all the way at the end of the clause. Ich will ins Kino gehen. Notice that it doesn't get conjugated either. It's gehen, not gehe, because you've already conjugated a verb, in this case wollen, for ich. So notice that in all 4 examples, even though the modal verbs are different, and the subjects are different, and the sentences don't mean the same thing, there's a pattern to the structure, the layout of all of these sentences. The conjugated modal verb is second, because they're all statements, and they all have an infinitive form, unconjugated, all the way at the end of the sentence. So let's recap. Modal verbs: wollen, müssen, können, sollen, dürfen, and mögen will have a singular form vowel change, except for sollen, and a nothing, st, nothing conjugation pattern in the singular forms. The plural forms will be conjugated normally. And if you use them with other verbs, those additional verbs will need to be in their infinitive forms at the end of the clause.